Alright, finally some dissent there. Now let's go on to the fourth pick. The defending champion Steelers welcome in the San Diego Chargers. Polamalu is still out and the San Diego offense has been clicking. So could be an interesting Sunday night matchup. What do you guys think?
I'm going to take the Steelers in this one, but I'm going to give you some different thoughts on this game. This matchup features two of the biggest pansies for running backs in the NFL. On one side you have BLT, LaDainian Tomlinson, looking at missing a third straight game with a sprained ankle. Hey LaDainian, next year when you don't have a contract, maybe you can play in the lingerie league. Maybe they'll take you. Maybe you're tough enough. I don't know how you look in pink, but whatever. The other side you have Willie Parker as a turf toe. I don't even know how you get a turf toe, but he's not going to play this week with it. So Mwelde Moore has to come in and do the same thing he did last year, help the Steelers' ground game. Maybe they'll actually produce some yards this week. I like the Steelers.
I hate to use the term must-win 4 games into the season, but this is a must-win game for the Steelers. They're 1-2. Things are not looking good if they don't win this game. Some things to look for, like you said, Parker's out with turf toe. Mendenhall, we haven't seen anything from him yet, so Mwelde Moore's going to come in. Hopefully he'll be able to do what he did last year with 3 stars and put up 303 yards. With Polamalu out, the Steelers' defense does not look good. The run defense is always good, but their secondary is going to get torched by Phillip Rivers and Vincent Jackson. So Steelers are going to win this game, but it's going to have to come down to their offense. They have to be able to produce. Big Ben has to save the day again. Look for rookie Mike Wallace to have another big game, I believe.
Am I the only one who's going to have the courage to pick an upset today? Like, come on, guys. I'm taking the Chargers in this game. The Steelers' secondary is beaten up. They don't have Polamalu. I think Phillip Rivers is going to throw deep and throw deep often, and I think he's going to connect. As for the Steelers' offense, without their running game, I don't know how effective they can be. I think they'll put up a fight. I think this will definitely be a very close game. I think the Chargers are going to come out on top in the end.
Yeah, you are the only one that's going to pick the upset. I'm taking the Steelers in this one. If they lose this and go 1-3, it's not looking good. Mike Tomlin's going to get them focused, going to get them on the right road. They're too good of a team. I mean, they're the defending Super Bowl champions. I'm looking for them to, win their typical way where they kind of grind out results.
Marshall's still the only one going on a limb here. See if his picks pay off, and I'm pretty sure Vince just called out LT, asked him if he was going to look good in pink. On a side note, I believe it is Breast Cancer Awareness Weekend, and I believe Ocho Cinco, the Bengals, said he was going to get fined this week and probably wear some pink shoes and some pink shoelaces. Just a side note there. Let's get back to the real football topics. All right, I'm sure this is going to be a doozy. Green Bay Packers at the Vikings. We all know what's going on in this one. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to take the Packers here, but there's a ton of questions in this game, and I want to address them. The real question is how many reporters and cameramen will ESPN have focused on Minnesota's quarterback the whole game? Will there be a picture-in-picture on that quarterback the entire game that the fans are forced to watch? Will that quarterback retire after the first quarter and come back for the second quarter? Will he actually buy that TV at Sears that he's contemplating buying? Will he get entirely too much credit for handing the ball to the best running back in the league? Will he cry? Will he get hurt? There's so many questions. Packers win.
On a more serious note, I think the Vikings are going to win this game, and let me tell you why. Brett Favre has a history of showing up for big games on Monday Night Football, and this is going to be one of the biggest games of his career. He's going to be playing his former team, the Packers. Everybody already knows this. But here's some reasons why he's actually going to pull off the win. Did you see his play last week? He still got it. He's going to come into this game with swagger. Everybody knows he can still throw the ball. Plus, Vince does have a valid point. He does get a lot of credit for handing off to the best back in the league. And guess what? That best back in the league, he's playing the 24th ranked rush defense. He's going to have a big night, too. I don't see any way the Packers win this game, especially not in the Metrodome. The fans there are going to be absolutely crazy to see Favre play his former team.
As far as I'm concerned, this game is really 2 different games. It's Brett Favre versus the Packers and the Vikings versus the Packers. Brett Favre, he's been playing well. Like, you saw the play last week. He's doing well. I'm not going to deny that. But he's been historically inconsistent. And after that great play last week, he could very easily come out and throw 4 picks this week. So I don't necessarily trust him. True, the Vikings do have Adrian Peterson, and that's very tough to stop. But I think Green Bay, if they can at least hold him to around 100 yards or below, I think they can win this game. Because Aaron Rodgers has been playing very well this season, even better than Brett Favre statistically. So that's why I'm going to pick the Packers to win this game and get their revenge on Brett Favre.
Taking the Packers. don't think this team does not have a little extra incentive in beating Brett Favre. You gotta have. Fuck. All right. Start it over. All right. I'm taking the Packers. You gotta think that the Packers are gonna have a little extra motivation in beating Brett Favre this week. He's not gonna be able to bail them out on a fourth quarter Hail Mary play from 35 yards out and get lucky to have some guy in the back of the end zone catch the ball and put his 2 toes down. It was a miracle play. It's not going to happen again. Taking
All
the
right,
Packers.
I gotta have some rebuttal against Reed here. Aaron Rodgers has been playing better statistically than Brett Favre. The Vikings are 3-0, and Brett Favre only has so few yards because he doesn't have to throw that much to win the game.
True. I also would just like to mention that receiver who just caught that in the back of the end zone, Greg Lewis, former Eagle.
And also, here's, it doesn't even matter. Here's the other thing. You think that Packers have incentive to beat Favre? Favre has incentive to beat the Packers. They basically severed all ties with him after he went through another one of his long Favrean off seasons. Everybody knows he's going to have.
He decided to retire.
And then he came back, and then they didn't want anything to do with him.
It's his fault. It's his fault.
That is motive enough to win the game. Plus, if he wins this game, he'll have beaten all 32 teams in the NFL. Only player ever to do that. That's something to play for right there.
Who likes Brett Favre, honestly?
Nobody.
All right, I don't even know how to segue out of that, but we'll just go to the next game. All right, yes. I think Vince said it right. I think it's gonna be hyped up enough, guys. Let's save it for the discussion at the end. The 6th and final pick, just a little throwing a bone to Reed, putting his Bears against the Detroit Lions, who finally won a football game, folks. Let's give it up for them. Vince, what do you got to say?
Well, I don't really care who wins this game. I don't really know who's going to win. Probably Chicago because they're slightly better than Detroit. Although Detroit does have momentum because they won last week. The biggest question in this game is how is Matt Forte going to murder my fantasy team this week? He's managed to do it 3 straight weeks. 66 yards rushing last week against a horrible defense. But I'm starting him again this week. I hope he comes through because if not, he's going to be so used to that bench, his ass is going to hurt.
The Lions won. Oh my God, they're not doing it again anytime soon. They're playing the Bears. If you guys watched the show 2 weeks ago, you know I ripped Cutler a new one. He paid me back by beating my Steelers. So this time, I'm just going to say Cutler's a great quarterback. He's going to have a huge game against Detroit's defense, and hopefully the Lions kick his ass for what he did to the Steelers. I don't really know. My notes also say here that Chicago is a team. I don't know what that means, but I know the Lions aren't really a team. So hands down, Chicago.
I also am not that enthused about the Lions winning. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a heartwarming story. Sure, it's lots of fun that they finally broke their incredibly long losing streak. But really, it's not that big of a deal. I don't see why that this should make our pick 6 personally. But since it did, I'm going to take Chicago because I can't see the Lions winning this game against the Chicago defense. It's a lot harder than the Washington defense to break through. And I think that Jay Cutler had a good game last week. I think he's going to have another good game this week. No question here.
Who do you think I'm going to pick? I'm taking the Bears. I'm happy this panel is finally coming around. There's nothing more to say.
All right, this conversation has just continued to devolve. I'm not sure if everyone was even making points anymore. So that's all we have for this week. I hope you were entertained, even if you didn't learn anything about this week's games. But hopefully you did. Definitely tune back in next week to pick 6. You can see how everyone's doing, and we'll be back to pick next week's games. Thanks for watching.
Panther Sports Network.